Hello, my crafty friends. I'm going to copy Michelle Jones's comment that she made. I loved that. My name is Sarah Simon. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I live in Appleton, Wisconsin, and I am excited. Oh, that light is really bright back there. Let me go down a little bit. That helps a little bit. I am so excited to be stamping with you tonight. I almost canceled. It was a crazy week. Every single night I had something this week. I had a meeting on Monday night. Tuesday night, I had to go to dinner with some friends because one of our friends left for Florida for the rest of the winter. She left on Thursday or today. Um, and then Wednesday, I had religion. And so I'm like, when am I going to get this card done? So because I put in a 12-hour day yesterday, I decided to go in a little bit later this morning. And so this morning, I put together our card for tonight. And one of the reasons I wanted to cancel is I have a card buffet this weekend with Kathy Miller. And when I do that, I have so many of my stamp sets that are all bundled, ready to go. I have all my ink pads that are all in buckets. And it's like, okay, I'm going to forget something because I'm going to forget to put something back. That's what happened last time. I forgot to put something back in my bucket that I had used for my card buffet or for my live video. So I found something that we weren't using at all, and I happen to have extra ink pads in the colors that I'm using. I had to borrow a few blocks, but those I can put back. I'll remember to put those back when I go to pack it up. But I thought a one sheet wonder. We haven't done one of those in a while. So this one is going to be a 6x6 one sheet wonder. And you're going to make 4 cards with that 1/4 of a piece of a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper. I like to do these this time of the year, especially as we're getting closer to the holidays. Sometimes people like to gift their cards. It makes a wonderful Christmas gift. People absolutely love them, and even 4 of them. If you're like, oh gosh, 4 cards, but if you have 4 of them and you package them very nicely, think of how much it costs if you go to the store. I haven't purchased a card in years, but my understanding is that they're very expensive. And so if you give them 4 of them, you could even throw some stamps in if you wanted to, and you've got the envelopes there for them. It's a wonderful gift. So that's why I'm doing a one sheet wonder tonight. So last week we made, oh, there we go. Here they are. My mom's like, you're really going to do a live stamping video in your office before you clean it? And I'm like, yep, I am. She goes, they're going to see all of your clutter and stuff like that. I'm like, yep. And it's hopefully going to get cleaned on Sunday. I do have religion in the morning, but in the afternoon, I am off. And my hope is to get my room completely cleaned. That's the first thing we're supposed to do as we begin a new fiscal year. And Stampin' Up! Started that on September 1st, and I'm a little bit behind because we're already on October. Actually, we started on October 1st, and it's already October 9th. Where does the time go, right? So last week we made this fun layout with some designer series paper and making some fun cuts. We have 2 different designer series paper that made our background, and then we just had a focal point that we put over the top of it with a greeting. And then right now, our creative challenge is this layout right here that opens like that. I did see some people that flipped theirs the other way, which I loved that as well. And they had this on the part that opened on the top part rather than on the side. You can do whatever you want with it. You can even make it vertical if you want and have it open up this way if you want, or you can have it vertical and you can have it open up that way if you want, however you want to make the cards. But if you wanted to enter into this, just a reminder, if you find me on Facebook, Create with Sarah, I have in my featured posts, I have a picture of this card along with the dimensions. You will find a video there as well if you scroll down a little bit further. And then if in the comments, if you post a picture of the card that you made, you get entered into a drawing. The last live that I do in October, which I think I said was October 30th, 29th, 30th, 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 you will get entered into a drawing to win $30 in Stampin' Rewards that I will gift to you so you can pick out whatever you want and have it shipped to your house. Hello to all of you that have jumped on here. I'm so happy that you're with me. So that is that. I do have to mention, oh my goodness, after I mentioned this last week, on Friday morning, I had 3 people join my team. So I welcome Elsa and Sandy, and who was the third one? Oh, Anna. All of them joined my team, and they did that because it is such a good deal. It's hard to pass up. When I sent a welcome email to all of them said, oh my gosh, this was too good of a deal to pass up. So our deal, again, you can do one of 2 things. You can either pay $35 and get $125 worth of products. I think I said $99 last time. It's actually $125 worth of products. Or you can pay $99 and get $189 worth of products. So if you've been waiting to get the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine because it's just like too much to have to afford right now, for $99, you can get that plus a few other things. This includes free shipping. You do have to pay tax on it. You get a free paper pumpkin kit. And anyone who's on my team can come to my card buffets for free. I have card buffets once a month, usually. And then we have 16 cards to choose from. You make 8 of them. So you get to make 8 cards for free. And then quarterly, I have a team meeting where we have usually 3 make and takes. Usually you get a gift from me, and I have prizes that we give away. And usually everybody wins a prize, some sort of a prize. They're all different value levels, but everybody always wins some sort of a prize. So if you are interested in this and you're not quite sure what to do, feel free to reach out to me. But there should be a join button on if you go to Stampin' Up, and you can join right from there. To stay active, you have to make $300 in purchases, or if you have other customers that buy from you. It doesn't matter either way. I was a hobby demonstrator for years and did the $300 every 3 months. It's about $100 a month. You do get access to the new catalogs a month early, where you get to order a little bit early before things go on back order. There are a lot of little perks that they add to it. So if you're interested, let me know, or I'd be happy to have you on my team, because I have to tell you about it. I'm not trying to build myself up, but holy cow, if I didn't tell you about this, I would be doing you a disservice, because this really is a good deal. All right. One other thing that I want, before we get stamping, one other thing that I wanted to let you know. Last week, I told you that this bundle right here, this Traditions of Christmas, was going to be the bundle that Kathy and I are using, if you're local, for our Christmas crafting that includes product. So I told you were going to get a half a pack of the designer paper, a sheet of gold foil, and you were going to get the ribbon, you were going to get the gems, and you made a 3D project, a couple of 3D projects, and some cards, and it was all Christmas based. Well, because Stampin' Up! Decided to do Traditions of Christmas as its first card class that you could purchase, that paper and the gems are all unavailable, and the paper is not available until November 17th, which is the Monday after we are having this event. So there is no way for us to get the paper for that. So we switched it up a little bit, and we are doing the Elegant Pines. This is the Delicate. This is the stamp set, and it has awesome dies and paper. And so we are switching gears a little bit, and we are going to be using that for our Christmas camp. And because we're together this weekend doing our card buffet, all of the details and all of the information to sign up with that will be available either on Sunday afternoon or first thing on Monday morning. So we're going to work hard at getting this all done for you quickly so that you can get signed up for that and we can get things ordered so that they don't go on back order. So anyway, enough talking. It's time to get stamping. So let me go ahead and change to this. There we go. So the stamp set that I'm going to be using along with the DSP for my One Sheet Wonder is Charming Day. I used this a whole bunch when it first came out, and now it kind of got hidden in my stamp room, and I haven't used it for probably at least a month or maybe even a month and a half. And so I decided to grab this out because most of the cards that we're doing for our card buffet, I would say almost half of them, are Christmas because it's that time of the year. And I thought, well, for a gift for somebody, you probably don't want to gift them Christmas cards unless you're doing like a hostess gift or something like that. But this would be a really nice, there's thank you in here, there's birthday, and those are the ones, thinking of you, I use a lot as well, but those are ones that anybody could use those. And so we're going to make 2 thank yous and 2 birthdays out of one 6x6 sheet of the designer paper. This is probably one of my favorites in that pack. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight, is taking this one piece right here and making 4 cards. We're going to add cardstock with it, and we're going to make 4 cards out of this. Now, I do want to say that I found this One Sheet Wonder from Heidi Collins, Onigo Stamping. So if you look her up, she does have like a sketch of how she cut everything. I did not want to steal that from her, and I did not have time with just designing these this morning. I did not have time to make one of my own. So if you look her up on YouTube, Heidi Collins Stampin' Up, or Onigo, Onygo, she is a wonderful stamper, and she gives lots of great ideas. So if you haven't followed her or haven't seen her in the past, she'd be somebody you'd really want to check out as well. So this is 6x6. Let me get my directions in here. So we're going to follow this so that hopefully it all makes sense to you. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to see if I can get this in here. There we go. That works. Okay, so our first cut is going to be 3/4 of an inch off of one of the sides. So for this one, I wanted to use the back. So I need that 3/4 inch width. I need my cardstock or my DSP to be facing portrait for that. And so this is the way I want to cut it. So for this first one, I'm going to have it cut this way. And I like to cut 3/4 of an inch on the right-hand side because then I have all of this section over here to rest my paper up against to make sure that it's straight. If I go like this with 3/4 of an inch, I only have this little bit and I could have it off just a little bit. So I always like to do it on this side. Okay, so I'm going to cut that at 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to just slide this over right here. And says, then cut that strip at 3 inches. So I'm going to turn this strip and I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. Okay, that results in 2 pieces that are 3 by 3/4 of an inch. You can see they're the same. And that's going to be what I need from this DSP for card number 1. So I'm going to set that right here. That's going to be my card number 1. Okay, then it says to rotate your DSP 90 degrees. I'll rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, that's just turning it from this way to this way. And it says to cut off 1 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off 1 3/4 of an inch. And at this point, if you wanted to turn your paper the other way, you could. It doesn't really matter which side you have up. Okay, after I cut off 1 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to keep this the way I had it, I'm going to cut that strip at 1 3/4 inch twice. So 1 3/4 inch once, and 1 3/4 inch twice. And that gives me 3 squares that are 1 3/4 inch by 1 3/4 inch. Okay, so I could use this side or I can use this side. it doesn't matter. That's going to be my card 2. Okay, so that's card 2. Rotate the DSP back 90 degrees. So it was like this. So I'm going to rotate it back 90 degrees. I'm going to cut 3 1-inch strips. So we're going to go 1 inch, 1, 2, and 3. Now for this card, I know I'm going to use the other side. So I do want to make sure that I'm going to line this up and kind of keep this in the order. And it looks like I don't have it in the order. Let's see, what do we have to do? This goes here. There we go. This goes here. There we are. So that my pattern kind of all stays together. It doesn't have to, but it just looks a little bit nicer. So I'm going to put these in this order. That's going to be my card number 3. Now I don't have to rotate this again. I'm going to leave it exactly the way it is. And I'm going to cut 3 3/4 inch strips. So 3/4 inch, that's 1. There's 2. And notice this is also at 3/4. So this is cutting this right in half. Okay, and this too, I'm going to use the other side. So I'm going to flip this over, see if I can get it again. I think this goes over here. And it doesn't really matter, but I think that goes right there. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to put those in order. And that is our card number 4. Okay, that's it. I have nothing left of that 6x6 sheet of paper. Isn't that awesome? Oh, Karen, you're welcome. All right, I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. I didn't. Okay, so I've got my pieces here. This is my card number 1. Okay, and they're all the same, but I just have this one flipped over. These 3 squares are my card number 2. These 3 strips, which I have those in order now, is my card number 3. And then the smaller, the not quite as wide 3 strips is card number 4. All right, so I'm going to set these all kind of aside here. And we're going to start with card number 1. All right, card number 1, dimensions. Here we go. So I did all my card bases the same. I think when I'm giving away a like a kit like this, like a card bundle, I like to have them all kind of match. And so I decided all my bases were going to be, I kind of looked at, can you see that color that's right there? It didn't say there was crumb cake in here. I think it's just a lighter shade of green, but I thought the crumb cake went really nicely with it. So this is going to be the base for all of mine are going to be crumb cake. And they all measure 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored them at 4/4 just for a regular A2 card. All right, then you're going to want to pick 2 coordinating cardstock colors. So with this one, because this back piece, I'm using some of that, and that was in Pretty Peacock. And then if I looked at the front flower, most of it was in Petal Pink. I used Petal Pink and I used Pretty Peacock. I like how those 2 colors go together, and I really liked how they looked on the crumb cake. So the bigger one I did as the Pretty Peacock, and that measures 3.5 by 4 3/4. And the smaller one measures 3 1/8 by 4 3/8. So they are about an what is that? 3/8 of an inch difference, right? 3/8 would be 6/8, which would be 3/4. Yeah, they're about 3/8 of an inch different. Okay, these are the pieces that we have from here. We also have a neutral piece that we need for this one, and I used white because the background was in white. And this measures 3 1/8. No, I'm sorry, 2 5/8 by 3, or 3 by 2 5/8. Okay, and I did all of the insides already. I just stamped something to put on the inside. I left them all blank. You could find other greetings. This one I'm going to be doing for the first one is going to be a happy birthday. So if you found another greeting that you could put on the inside, I posted, Karen asked about the card challenge. I did post it on Facebook. If you go to my featured posts, it's right there. I can put a link in that last video that I did from last week. I can put a link to that post for you as well. Okay, so all I did here was I took Petal Pink and I took one of the stamps and I stamped it in the corner. And like I was saying, you could put any sort of a birthday greeting that you wanted to in here. I just left them blank for right now because I didn't want to have to pull out a whole bunch of other stamp sets because, like I said, I have a lot that are pulled right now for card buffets and I didn't want to miss something. And because I no longer do my card buffets at my house, I'm doing them at my place where I work. We rent a facility, different rooms, whatever's available, and we do it there. And so it's nice because I don't have all of that in my house anymore. I still have a mess in my house from trying to get ready for them, but I don't have to then have all the people coming to my house all the time too. But anyway, if I miss something, it's a 15-minute ride home and a 15-minute ride back to go pick it up. So I like to have packed and double checked everything. Okay, this piece right here is going to get layered on here, like I showed you. Okay, we're going to stamp on this piece, and then these two pieces are going to go on either end, like so. And I want to put them the right direction. Well, maybe there isn't a right or wrong direction. It just would have looked funny if it was sideways. And then that's going to go in the center. Super easy, right? So let's go ahead and figure out what we're going to do with this. So what I decided to do with this, I don't know what these little scraps are here. We'll throw them away. I'm going to use some pretty peacock ink. Ooh, I almost got that on my hand. I always do that with the really bright colors like that. All right, I'm going to take the happy birthday stamp that comes in that, and I'm going to get myself a stamping mat. I thought I had one. Oh, it's right here. I moved it with the cards that I was showing you before. Let's move this out of the way here for a little bit so I can get this up here so you can see me stamping. Okay, so I'm going to ink up this happy birthday, and I'm just going to stamp it to make sure it looks straight, and it does. And I'm going to do that right along the bottom. I'm going to stand up and do that so that I can see what I'm doing. Oh, look at that. I'm winning already. All right, so for this one, I decided to use some of the dies that come along with this. So they have dies that can cut out the floral images, but then they also have some greenery, this beautiful rose, this flower, this big die. So I decided to use this flower right here. I didn't take the little pink out of it when I cut my last one out. And then this one, right, this greenery right here. So through the magic of TV, I have that cut out already. And since I don't need this anymore for this card, I am going to close this because otherwise I'm going to put my hand in there. So we have our greenery and we have our flower. And our flower I thought needed a little Wink of Stella. So I did, oh, here's my Wink of Stella. Wink of Stella is just a glitter brush that is amazing. But unfortunately, normally the my camera will not pick that up when I try to show this to you, but I'm just adding glitter. And I am going to try to be careful and not do it right over that ink because sometimes the really dark inks can bleed a little bit. And I just don't want that bleeding on there. So I'll bring this up here, but oh, maybe you can see a little bit of that sparkle. Can you see that glimmer? Oh, so amazing. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bone folder And I'm just going to tap. And what that's doing is it's just putting some little flicks, and then that for sure you're not going to be able to see because I can barely see it on here. But there's little splatches of glitter that are on there that just add a little bit as well to the card. All right, we're going to pop this. We're going to pop up on some dimensionals. So I need some minis here. And I'm going to put a mini right there. Any place where I feel like I can get away and you wouldn't see them. There's a couple of bigger spots on this flower that you can get away with. I'm going to put, that's what I'm going to use for that. Let me get my silicone mat here. And we will just take a little bit. Our silicone mat, if I get a little bit of glue on there, it's not going to stick to this. It'll pull, like I can just like kind of rub it off. So I like using that. And this I'm just going to put right up in this corner like that. And then we'll take our dimensional backs off. To see what I did with my samples. Oh, there. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to set this right over the greenery like so. I like to have a little bit. There we go. I think I'm going to go like that. It hides a little bit of that stem when I did it that way. And then I'll put the gems on after. Let's go ahead and make the rest of this. Okay, so we've got our two end pieces. And I'm just trying to make it so that those three sides are both the same. And then I like to put my other side on first. Oh, thanks, Sue. So this goes this way. And again, I'm going to put these two sides on, and then I'll just center the white between them. So we'll go ahead. Yeah, Debbie, you'll want to catch the replay because I did how to cut the DSP for this One Sheet Wonder. So now I just kind of make sure that I have about the same amount of petal pink on both sides. And I'm just going to put this down flat. That way the person I'm giving it to hopefully won't have to pay a lot of extra postage, but I could get some of those non-machinable stamps and throw those in with it to add to the gift. That would be kind of nice, right? And then this bundle has my favorite. I think I've told you this a bunch of times. Hello from Southern California. But these are my favorite because even on the camera, you can see these glimmer. Look at that. Look at that shimmer. And they're called Shimmer. Charming Shimmer Faceted Dots. And they are amazing. All right. I'm going to use a big one and a small one up here. And then I'm going to do a big one over here. So there is our first card. Super simple. Okay, it's got an inside. But for somebody who you're gifting this to, they're going to look at this and be like, oh my gosh, this is so gorgeous. Thank you so much. I don't know that I'm going to want to send them. Does everybody tell you that when you gift them cards? I really picked the most important people in my life to send them to because they're so beautiful. I don't even want to give them away. I hear that all the time, right? All right. So let me go ahead and grab this so that you have it. Dimensions. Here, let me do this so that I don't have all that craziness behind you. So there were the dimensions for card number 1. We just use those 2 little strips in card number 1. Put some white in there, some coordinating colors from the DSP. I used the back side of the DSP on this one and just like that, we had a card. Now I could have used some of the trim that goes with this. We'll use some of the trim on some of the other cards that we make. So that is card number 1. And you could like do like this little flower in petal pink, like down on the bottom. So you could even decorate the envelopes for them if you wanted to. All right, card number 2. We're going to be using these 3 squares for card number 2. That was our DSP that we're using. Just like we did in the last one, our card base is crumb cake, and it's 8.5 by 5.5 squared at 4 1/4. I have a piece of coordinating cardstock, and I use the petal pink on this one, and that measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then I have my neutral, which I use basic white for my neutral, and that's 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I did stamp an inside for this one. This is going to be one that goes in the portrait direction instead of landscape. And so you could do it in landscape if you wanted to. I opted to do it in portrait. Let me go ahead and burnish this here, since my bold folder is right there. And we'll go ahead and put this in. But please remind me to check my inside before I put my card together to make sure that I have it the right way. Because you know me, I could go like this and put it that way and it'll be upside down. So I'll try to keep it this way so that I don't do that. Now, I decided I wanted to add a little bit of interest to this background of this crumb cake. So what I did was I just took this stamp right here and some crumb cake ink. Lisa's forgetting Thursday night. Yeah, I kind of forget it almost too, Lisa. But I just took this flower and I just randomly stamped it on the front of this card base. And I didn't put them really close together or anything like that. I really kind of spread it out a little bit, and your cardstock is going to be that cardstock that you had is going to be covering most of this, but I thought it just added a little bit extra to the card by just adding that on there. Okay, so you can just put them wherever you want, no rhyme or reason. I do flip them around so that they're not all going in the same direction. I find that I like that a little bit better when I do it. Let me clean this. I'm not sure if I use it anymore, but whoops. There we go. Okay, and now this piece right here is going to go in the center. So see how you're not going to see a lot of those flowers? I just stamped it everywhere because that way I could just get a natural flow for everything. Okay, this is going to go over it. And I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to pick the piece that I like the best in the floral. I think I like this one. I don't know that I like that really big flower. So I think I'm going to put that one there. And then I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to put that there. And we're just going to stamp something up in this little corner right here. Super easy, right? Now I am going to leave these kind of right where they are. I don't want to glue them down yet because if I make a mistake, I can always flip my paper over and I don't have to recut my paper or anything like that. So I'm just going to kind of set that there. Actually, I can take the rest of this stuff out of here so I don't have all those layers. But I'm just going to kind of put these where I want them so I can figure out where my square is left that I have that I can stamp in. So that's where I can stamp. So I decided, you can't see this because my sticker tore off, but it said, "You made my day," which I really like that. So you made my day. And then I have on the inside, "Thanks for being you." I thought those two greetings went together. So I'm going to ink this up and stamp it here to see if it's straight. Kind of maybe has to go up just a tad. Make sure these are in this place that I want them. I'm going to stand up. I'm just going to do that towards the bottom. Oh, look at that. See, that's why I can flip this over. Paper has two sides, but if I had glued that down already, I would have been stuck with it. And it's not like that's the worst thing, but I'm gifting this, so I want to make sure. Okay, let's make sure we don't rock it at all. Look at that, so much better. And I didn't ruin the paper. All right, then I'm just going to use this simple stamp that has like some leaves. I think I'm just going to, when I did it last time, I did it way over here. I think I'm going to like it better this way. Just want to make sure that I'm not going into my words too much. There we go. I do like that better than how I had it. All right, let's go ahead and clean this off. Okay, close this up because we're done with it. That way I won't get ink on anything or drop anything in it. All right, let's go ahead and attach our DSP squares. Do this here. And one more. Put that there. Okay, and then this is going to be attached. There's my little mistake. Nobody's going to see it now because we're going to tape it down. We're going to tape that or glue that onto this petal pink. And then we're going to add that to the front of our card. I'm trying to kind of center it top and bottom. It should go all the way to the edge and all the way to the edge. It's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Here we go. And now I think we can add a little bit of bling to this. So let me bring in, where did I put it? Oh, here it is. I put it right on the desk so that it would be where I needed it. This is the trim that goes with this, which, not gonna lie, it's kind of bulky, right? It's kind of bulky. So you could use some of the linen thread because we used crumb cake. You could add some linen thread. I decided I was gonna try, and I'm just going to pull out a couple of strands of the petal pink. And with those two strands, I'm just going to make a bow. That way I'm bringing in this background color and the color from here. Now I could do this with linen thread, but I kind of liked just using a little bit, a few strings of that. It's a little bit raspy or kind of, I don't know what you would call that. It's got like little stringies and stuff hanging from it, which I think is kind of cool. I think it just adds a little bit as well. And I'm just going to put that like right there. I don't want to cover my greeting completely. Should I put it right here? Nope, I like it over by my greenery. Just pop that right in there. You can even trim those down a little bit if you wanted to, so it's not hanging as much into the words. There we go. And then, again, we have our little petal pink, beautiful gems here. Let's just put, actually, let's, I'm going to go there. Whoops. There and there. I think I'm just going to do 2 because I've got that big ribbon in there as well, or that twine. I think that gives it enough. Put one more, actually. Let's just put one more, balance it a little bit. I'll just put one there. There we go. So there is our card number 2, where we used the 3 1 3/4 inch squares from our DSP for a one sheet wonder. There are all of those dimensions for you. Good evening from Kentucky. Glad you could join us. All right. Hello, Jan. I didn't say hello to everybody else. I'm sorry when I got on here. I've just, as I see things pop up, I sometimes just say it while I'm waiting. All right, so there is our card number 2. And I will set that aside. Oops, I've got my envelope here. Oh, I forgot to check. I did put it in the right way. Nobody reminded me to check, but I did do it the right way. Now you can check too. I have a little bit hanging off the side here. I'm just going to, I don't want to mess it up, but I am going to just take my paper snips and go right along the edge of that cardstock there to just make sure that that's not showing through. There we go. All right. So that's our card number 2 for our one sheet wonder. Card number 3 is going to use these 1 inch strips. And again, I put them, sure I did. I must have one that slid over. There we go. Slid over with the other ones. Okay, so there are our 3 strips of that we're going to use. This is also going to be a portrait card, not landscape, but more portrait. And so we're going to get all of our pieces out here. All right, so again, our card base is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored that at 4 1/4. And we're going to have a coordinating piece of cardstock that measures 4.5 by 3 5/8. And as you can probably guess, our little strips, our 3 1 inch strips, are just going to go right on there. Doesn't that add just a little bit by making them 1 inch strips and being able to separate them and put that little bit of pink in between there? It just looks so cool. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do thank you on the outside, and we're going to do the you made my day on the inside, just the opposite of that other one. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a good burnish. All right, and we'll again go ahead and put this in here, and then I'm going to set it up on the top here so that it's the right way. Okay, the other thing I did was I cut out this beautiful greenery from the dies. This is in Pretty Peacock. I also stamped that flower and used the die to cut it out, and we're going to use some Stampin' Blends to color this. And I punched out, this is a 2 inch circle, and this is our 1 7/8 inch. So I just have that little bit of an edge around the outside. Now, if you wanted to, I was trying to avoid having to do a lot of die cuts, and so punches are a little bit easier. So I used our punches, but you could easily use one of our dies and add a little bit of extra. So you could use the Spotlight on Nature dies, or you could use the Stylish Shape circles. Those would add just a little bit of extra to them with a little bit of stitching. I just used our punches. Okay, what we're going to do is on here with our Pretty Peacock ink, we're going to stamp our thanks for being you. You made my days on the inside, remember. So again, I'm going to stamp it once. Okay, see how it's going down just a little bit? So when I stamp it, I'm going to just kind of tilt my my stamp. So this would be straight on. I'm going to tilt it just a little bit up to compensate for that. Look at that. And it's straight. I'm such a pro. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So that is our stamp. And then we need to color this in. So I'm going to bring in my dark and my light petal pink. And when I was coloring this morning, I'm like, oh, my dark petal pink, I need to replace this. And I probably have another one because I replace them all the time. And I have multiple so that when I do classes, people can be coloring at the same time. But look at that. And then this side is kind of dry. So we're going to use this the best we can, just kind of for the center, for the darker part. It still works, right? It's just not pretty. And then my light one is really pretty. So we'll just use the light one to kind of pull some of that color from the center out to the outside. And we'll just color that flower in. As long as it works and I can get done what I need to get done, right? And then I have my pretty peacock. I'm going to take the darker one and I'm going to use the bullet point and just kind of go over that vein down the center of the leaf with the dark. And then I'm going to come in with the light to sort of shade that in. And my pretty peacock brush is really nice. It's got a really nice tip on it, and it was really easy to use this morning. So I'm like, usually I will take the bullet point and I will color with that because I'm better at staying in the lines with that. But the brush tip really does blend it just a little bit better, I think, than the bullet does. So when possible, I like to use my brush, especially when I'm doing the lighter one and doing the blending. Any questions? Oh, thanks, Donna. Thanks, Kay. Trying to look at comments as I'm coloring, but I'm also trying to stay in the lines, so. Blend that in. All right, that pretty. And then let's take our Wink of Stella and get the flower part of this. Now, if you wanted to, you could also do the greenery. I decided just to do the flower and leave the greenery the way it is. All right, so let's start putting this together. So we're going to layer these right on here like this so that they're still in their pattern all together. And again, I like to do one side and then I like to do the other side. Anybody watching the Brewers tonight? Oh, one more win. They just need to get that one win. I want it to get done so that they don't have to play another game. But I heard that Freddie Peralta is pitching tonight again, so that's good. If you're a Cubs fan, I'm sorry. I'm a diehard Brewer fan. Love the Brewers. I watched them before they started being good. Every summer, that's what I love to do at night, is sit and watch the Brewers. So that's just going to go right on the top. Now, do I like it that way? I think I like it this way. Looked like it was upside down the other way. So let's put it on this way. I didn't think there was a right way and a wrong way. Oops, let's check this. There we go. We're going the right way. All right, so that's going to go there. Now, if you wanted to, you could add one more layer. If you wanted to do another pretty peacock, you could do one more layer around that if you wanted to. I am going to put that up there. Let's layer this right here. So that's going to go like that, cover up some of those leaves. And then we're going to put this over there. Isn't that pretty? All right, so let's go ahead. I think I might need some liquid glue for this instead of my Stampin' Seal. These leaves are plenty big that I can get some glue on them easily to hold it down. Anybody still watching The Golden Bachelor? The girl from Little Shoot had her one-on-one date. That was last week. Looks like they're hitting it off pretty well too. Yeah, okay, the game's not on until 8 o'clock Central Time, which is okay, 8:08 it starts. That means it's not going to be over until about 11 unless it goes into extra innings. Then it'll be even longer. Okay, then I'm going to put this up here with dimensionals. I think I'm going to grab some bigger ones. You didn't know you were going to get a bonus 4 cards tonight, huh? And look at that. It's not even 7:30 yet. It's not even an hour. And I even did some talking beforehand. So one sheet wonders can be really quick things that you can do. Okay, so that's going to go right in there. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue down here like that. Might even pick this up, put a little bit here. I got to make sure I put that back down so I don't have glue sitting there. And then what I like to do is just take a little mini dimensional. And I'll take this off. I'll kind of go like this and figure out where we need it so that it doesn't get, so I can't see it. That works there. And we'll put one up here to make sure that when it goes through the mail, everything is kind of balanced. Whoops, that one's not in far enough. There we go. All right, so there we go. And we've got a little bit of white spot down here. So I'm going to take some of those gems that we have. And come on. Just go like that. And like this. And I think we just need 2 this time. I knew there was one of the cards I only put 2 on. Okay, so there is our card number 3. Pretty easy, right? It just has those 3 strips of the DSP. I used a die cut from the dies, and then we just have a circle. You could even move that up a little bit. I have it down a little bit further. I think on my sample, I pushed it up just a little bit more. But there is our card number 3. Hopefully you got a chance to do a screenshot on that. And then the easiest one is our 4th one. You just need a card base. I don't know why I have this in there. I don't need that. I don't know why I put it up in there. I would have needed it for the last one to stamp that image, but I didn't have the scrap in there, so I just said, well, you just stamp it and die cut it, and I had that done already. Okay, so here's our base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Easy peasy, right? I ended up stamping that bigger flower in the corner here, and then this is going to be a landscape card. I like this better. See how much faster that goes instead of having to shake my glue to get my glue to come out. Okay. There we go on that one. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take these 3 strips that we have left, and they're perfect height, and we're just going to layer them right on the side here. Kind of like we did in the last card, but we're not going to layer them on Pretty Pink. Now, it looks like I have them a little bit longer, which is okay. I can just trim those right off. But before we put these down, I wanted to add that really big flower in the corner here. And I kind of wanted to do what I did with that second card that we did. And I just wanted to do tone on tone. I just wanted to take this big flower right here, and I just wanted to stamp it right down here and then have those strips come here just to add a little bit of the floral stuff down in the corner with crumb cake. So we'll go ahead and ink. Now this is a bigger stamp. So sometimes with the bigger stamps, I like to take my ink pad and bring it to the stamp to make sure that I get everything covered. Sometimes when I go on the pad, it's like, oh, I missed that little section right over there. So we're just going to stamp this right like that. Okay, so it just gives us a little floral image on our paper. We can close this for right now. Yep, I don't need this color anymore. Put this back. I do have, I did punch out a 1 7/8 inch Pretty Peacock, and then this is a Petal Pink Stylish Shapes, and I'm going to stamp the happy birthday in Pretty Peacock ink on there. Again, I'm just going to make sure. I think this one was pretty straight. Yep, it is. Okay. This like banner was meant for that stamp. Okay, so there's our happy birthday. And this is just going to kind of go right behind it just to add a little bit more color to the front of the card, because we just have this and then we're going to put our strips. Let's close this up. Okay, so let me just like kind of dry fit where I want these. So 1, 2, I just want a little bit of that crumb cake between there, and 3. That's going to be perfect, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to have to trim a little bit off the bottom so that they all line up. I am going to start at the crease, or where the score line is. Make sure that's up flush with that. Run it down. See how it's like sticking off the edge here just a little bit? I'll trim those all off at the end. Okay, so again, I'm going to line this up at the top. Just have a little bit of that crumb cake showing through. And one more. Now you'll have to go to Heidi Collins' Facebook page, or not Facebook, YouTube channel, Onigo Stamping. She did this about a week ago, I think. She did this, and she had, I think she did it in 3 different stamp sets. She didn't do this one, but she did do a sneak peek of some product that is coming out with the November online exclusive. So if you want to check that out, it was very pretty. Okay, so this I'm just going to attach to that, and then we're going to raise it up on some dimensionals. And I think we're going to put some of this twine behind it as well. So let's go ahead. Just going to add that right like that. All right, let's pull some of this out. Hopefully I have enough here that it's long enough. I think it is. Okay, and I'm just going to make a really big bow. Ooh. Maybe I don't have enough. Let's see if I can make this a little more centered. That would help. Oh my gosh. You know, the school that I used to teach at, one of their elementary campuses, had a pipe on the 3rd floor, a pipe to one of the bath toilets on the 3rd floor of the school. It burst, and it did it like through the night, I guess. I don't know. I'm not there, so I don't know all the specifics, other than somebody that I work with now, her daughter goes to school there. And they had like a foot of water. This isn't quite long enough, so I got to cut a bigger strip. They had like a foot of water that ran from the 3rd floor all the way down to like the basement of the school. And I guess it's bad. It's really bad. And so they didn't have school on Tuesday and Wednesday. and they went to one of our parishes that doesn't have a school. They have some classrooms for like their religion classes, and the teachers are using those classrooms, I guess. Um, and they have that school there Thursday and Friday. I don't know if they're going to have everything fixed by then or if it's going to be longer that they're going to be there. But oh my gosh, I just feel so bad. The principal is a really good friend of mine, and I can't imagine the stress that this has caused on the kids and on her and the teachers. And oh my goodness, can you imagine? Such a sad thing. All right. Just kind of holding this in place where I want it with my dimensionals. And I just put some two-sided tape over that to hold it down. It's super easy to do that. Or you could do Scotch tape. And we'll throw some on the ends of the banner. I have way more dimensionals than I need here, but you get the point here. Yeah, Heidi Collins deserves the credit for this. I mean, I took her pattern and made my own with it. I didn't copy hers exactly or anything like that. Even what I did on each of the cards is a little bit different than what she did. So, but yeah, she's very, very talented stamper. I learn a lot from her. So that's just going to go about there. Do I have that straight? I think I do. And then we'll take some of those pretty, pretty gems and we'll put a couple of them. Whoops. I don't see it. Not sure where it went to, but we'll just grab another one. Oh, there it is, upside down. And throw one down there just for good measure. There we go. So that is the fourth card. Again, super easy card. Doesn't even have many layers or anything to it. It just has, if you want to take a picture, it's the card base. But then I added a little bit of color onto it with the circles and the labels and stuff like that. So let's take a look again. Clear off some space here. And I've got, look at all this string that I have. I just keep that over there, and then when I need it again, it's ready for me. All right, so we have, this was our card number 4. This has 3 strips that are each 3/4 of an inch long. And then we had our card 3, which was similar to that, but we've switched it up a little bit by adding it to a layer of petal pink that, and these are each 1 inch wide rather than 3/4 of an inch. And then we had our number 2. I'm not going to get these all in the screen with their, I'm going to have to overlap them a little bit. There's our number 2. So that one had some of the petal pink and it had a white that were in squares. And then I just added a little bit of stamping to the background layer. And then number 1, let's see, what can I do here? I can bring this over a little bit. That one you really don't need the, I'm going to put this over there a little bit. There is our number 1. Am I going to get that in? Oh, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of going in a circle there. But you have all the dimensions. I could probably, no, I can't move. I can move this one down a little bit. And then move this one down just a tad. And we could throw that one up a little bit so you can kind of see it a little better. All right, so there is our one sheet wonder, and the directions again for cutting your 6x6 inch sheet. This is that. So if you wanted to get a picture of just the dimensions for cutting it, that is that. Okay, so remember we rotated it 90 degrees and then we rotated it back 90 degrees so that we had it all in the right directions. And that way we we didn't waste any paper. We used every little stitch of that 6x6 by cutting it this way. So, all right, again, wouldn't this be a great, like, okay, I've got my envelope. I could even stamp something on each one of the envelopes that's exactly the same. So there's 1, 2, we've got 3, and we have 4. And there I have, wrap it up in some nice wrapping or make a little box. And right there, I have a beautiful Christmas gift to give to somebody. If I wanted to throw some machine canceled stamps in there so that they have them, if I want to put my favorite one, if this is my favorite one, I could put my favorite one on top. You can make like a little folder that you could put 2 and then it folds together and has a little bit of that ribbon or trim on. Lots of different options for giving this away as a nice gift, or you can just use the cards yourself. So if you make a lot of thank you cards and you could just make all of these into thank you and just adjust them a little bit from how I had made them. So that is my one sheet wonder. Thanks to Heidi Collins, who I got the idea from. And like I said, it's Onygo, Onygo. Stamping. Her name is Heidi Collins. She's on YouTube. She does a wonderful job. She has like fun folds. She has mystery stamping. She doesn't always do one sheet wonders, but she happened to do this one. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. I just did a search for one sheet wonders and I had like 5 of them that I looked at. And this one was my favorite. And I started using the, let's see, I think I have them here somewhere. I had cut up some of that designer paper that's in the bundle that we're going to be using. So I had cut up this designer paper, and then the back was this. I had started to cut that up, and I was going to make the cards with that. But then I'm like, then I have to grab my dies that are ready for my card buffet, and I have to grab the stamps that are ready for my card buffet, and I have everything ready to go. So I decided, let's pick something that's not in my card buffet that I don't have to worry about getting back in there. And so this is what it was. So I hope that you enjoyed that today. I hope that you'll give it a try. If you have any gifts to give away for Christmas, it's a great idea for that. Like I said, you could also do Christmas cards and you could give it away as a hostess gift if you're going to any parties over the holiday, or if somebody's hosting for Thanksgiving, what a great way to give them a pack of Christmas cards that they can send out. Like if you wanted to, you could do 2 6x6 pieces. They could be different 6x6 pieces, or they could be the same and give them a variety of cards to use for Christmas. I mean, 8 cards would be really nice too, right? So I hope that you enjoyed that this weekend or this week. I will be back again next week. And I know if Denise is on here, Denise had sent me something and she said, could you use some of the masking paper? She said, I purchased it and I don't know how to use it. And Denise, that was my plan, but I would have to find my masking paper. And I looked for about a half an hour the other night and I could not find it. So I'm either out of it or I put it away really well and I cannot find what place I put it in. So I did just place an order for some more masking paper. It should be here before next week. So I will try to do one card. Or I was going to do I had 2 ideas that I was going to do for using the masking tape or paper. And my mom, I'd said to my mom, I've got one of the cards pretty much done in my head because it's a card that I've done before, but then I couldn't find the masking paper. So I'm like, oh, one sheet wonder it is. So I hope that you enjoyed that. Thanks, Donna. And like I said, I'll be back next week. I hope that you can find some time to be creative this weekend and use some of these ideas. And I look forward to stamping with you again. Thanks so much for joining me and have a great weekend. Go Brewers.